So I guess my health journey, I really didn't care what I ate for the longest time. And I really, I, even though like my sister tended to be more healthy, she's a yoga instructor and eats very clean.
Mhm.
But when I had my first son is when I started paying attention to like he's like this fresh new little baby and nothing bad has been put into him. Like
Mm.
no like every piece of food that goes in his mouth, I can now decide what I want to put in him. And you can't control what your kids eat completely, but I started learning about the importance of whole food nutrition,
Mm.
just like to some degree of like how to introduce foods to him to just begin that kind of lifestyle in him from a very early age. And so my shift there for a while was more just focus on more real food and less processed food in general as I'm raising these humans and I have the opportunity to either teach them to really love all this processed food, all these sugary things that kids are just, it's just marketed to kids like crazy,
Mm. Yeah.
or I can help shape their taste buds from an early age so they're not having to try to get over loving Lucky Charms when they're older,
Yeah.
and so but even in that, it's not like we just never had anything processed. Don't get me wrong at all. And I and so simultaneously I tend to keep getting older. Like it just keeps happening. And the the thing you hear as a woman, and I don't know how much men like hear the same thing about women specifically, but I know you have your own the ways that your body's changed. But women are like, well, once you've had kids, you'll just never have your body back. You'll never be as little as you were before or whatever it is. It's not about size, but just you'll never feel the same. And like as we're aging and getting closer and closer to a menopause sort of age,
Mm.
our hormones change. That's how our bodies are.
Yeah.
And it was just as I was like 35, 36, things started fitting differently. And I was like, well, I guess this is just what happens when you hit mid 30s, approaching 40. Had two kids. My clothes just fit differently, and I'm going to have to start buying bigger shirts. And I just
Mm.
need to be okay with it because that's what everybody kept saying was just body positivity, accept yourself the way you are, and I'm all for body positivity. Like I want us to love ourselves, but I think in loving ourselves, I've learned how to take care of myself rather
Mm.
than just let myself feel terrible.
Yeah.
So that was pre learning about the faster rate of fat loss for
Mm.
me. You want me to
Yeah.
keep going?
Yeah, you can. Well, you were on a roll there, but I guess something that you touched on was the whole. I guess you could say the peer pressure. That
Yeah.
is a very real thing in society, and when more people, especially in the past 2 years, living their lives in front of a screen, whether it's a monitor, a TV, a phone, or a tablet, or the digital screens at their stations or whatever, there's always something now that is quite literally demanding their attention, and
Mhm.
normally we're hit by I call it propaganda, but some people call it commercials for beverages and foods that are not good for us. But it's like prominently there. It's like Coca-Cola advertises themselves as if no one has ever heard of them. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, I know. I don't need
Yeah.
to see 10 ads for it during the commercial break of any sporting event, or you go to the theaters, you're sitting down, you pass the concession stands. But
Mhm.
when you go sit down and then before the trailers start rolling, there's like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Like, look at the attention to detail with the how the ice is cracking as the fountain
Uh-huh.
drink lands on it.
Oh,
It's like,
yeah.
okay, honey,
The
I'll be right back. I need
psychology.
to, I need to get some. Yeah, it's so yeah, like that's is a real detrimental effect because, like I said, that's why it's mental. Like wellness is all together. It's
Mhm.
mental, spiritual, physical,
Mhm.
and and you in a way accepted that until you didn't. What was the point where you said, no, I don't have to be this way?
Well, my coat didn't fit in the winter. I had just
That'll
bought
do it.
like a really nice new winter coat because, as we've discussed, Wyoming winters are long here and it's worth it to invest in a nice coat here.
Mhm.
So I had bought a new winter coat, and as the winter of 2020 moving into the new year 2021, as it was going on, like it was tighter and tighter to zip my coat. And
Mm.
I spent too much money on that coat for it to just not fit anymore.
I'm afraid to
So,
ask.
but that was an indicator for me because I knew my clothes, like I was just having to buy looser shirts, and I was like finding a way to like a different style of clothes or bigger pants and things. But when my coat didn't fit, that was kind of like, I don't know, I've heard other people say it's a trigger. My snow pants. I had to buy new snow pants. And I thought, man, I just don't like this. I just don't feel like myself.
Mhm.
And backing up, I had also had a really stressful few years from about 2017, even like then going into COVID, but I had a lot of personally that was hard in like outside of my immediate family.
Mhm.
And stress is a big detriment to our health as well. And
Oh,
so I
yeah.
know that was playing in as well. And then I found out I was anemic, and I'd never had iron issues even when I was pregnant. I didn't, a lot of people when they're pregnant have anemia come on. So I started taking iron supplements. It was so low that she said if it was any lower, she would have sent me in for like an actual infusion of iron. But
Wow.
we were able to medically I could take iron every day. So I did that until my numbers were better. And then I just kind of quit taking it, which I knew that's not how it's supposed to work. But
Mhm.
um, okay, so we're at the end of 2020. We went on a trip. My coat didn't fit. I was feeling just like I don't feel like myself, tired, just all the things. And somebody I randomly follow on Instagram started talking about her journey using the faster way to fat loss and how she had kind of felt in a similar way that I was feeling in the way she was describing it. And it had helped her just to get her nutrition back on track and give her a plan for how to just feel better. I wanted to feel better. If I needed to
Yeah.
buy a new coat, I could buy a new coat, but I didn't feel good. And when I looked into it, I knew personally I didn't want to sign up for a program where I'm buying food that somebody else made in a factory, because I know that God has given us the food that we need to live a healthy life. Like,
Yeah.
I believe that the Lord provided it all for us. And so, and I didn't want to just any kind of program like that where I felt like it was too manufactured.
Mm.
Here, take this, eat these bars or these shakes or whatever, like as a personal preference. Because I've seen a lot of people do that and find success, but then also it's not always a long-term success. And I didn't want a short-term fix, I guess. And the more I looked into it, the more I saw they just help you find ways to implement whole food nutrition in a way that your body needs, and exercise. They give you the exercise 30 minutes a day and pair it with a nutrition plan that makes it effective for weight loss and muscle gain and repairing your hormones and kickstarting your metabolism back up. And I just felt like, yeah, I think this will work. And I never dropped money on any sort of weight loss program before because I just
Mm.
kind of did whatever I did.
Yeah.
And when I did, it was like, okay, I'll see. And I might not like this and I might hate exercising, but maybe it'll work. And I'll probably just cancel my membership later. And then
Mm.
it was great. It gave me a plan. It gave me, so I knew exactly what my body needed by tracking macros and not counting calories.
Yeah.
It gave me 30 minutes a day showing up on my phone of exercise that I knew. Like, I have trainers that know what I did last week and they know what I'm going to do next week, and they're programming it to move me forward. And I can do it in my basement. I didn't have to leave my family. It was just a quick 30 minutes before my boys are even awake, or even if they are awake, they just hang out with me. And it was just so manageable and sustainable that I just never quit.
Hmm.
That's really what happened. Is I thought maybe I'll just try this experiment, and then I never quit, and I
Uh,
really enjoyed it.
yeah, you took it to the next step.
Yeah,
You became a coach,
exactly.
right?
Yeah. So but I did it for 13 months before I ever considered, or 12, yeah, 13 months before I considered being a coach. And I mean, there's opportunities to join as a coach previous, but I didn't want to start trying to get people to sign up for this thing if I wasn't going to be able to continue it. I didn't know personally if I would even keep going. And
Mhm.
so I wanted to do it a while. And I honestly never thought I'd be a coach. But just through conversations with my husband, one thing led to another. And I was like, I just kind of need my thing because I love working with him. I love that I can help his counseling practice be successful. And he calls it our practice. I should say our practice, but I mean, he's the counselor. Um, and he's like, well, what if you did something like coaching? And then here we are. Because he said, you've already spent so much time over the last year learning this program. It's been good for you. You've found success and in yourself, and me just gaining energy and vitality, and like I came back in ways that I didn't know were missing. I
Mhm.
didn't know parts of me that were gone. And I was just like, well, I'm just older, but like I came back alive in so many ways, and he could see it too. So that was why I decided it not only would it give me something as a coach to be able to offer people, but I could help people find themselves back, even, or maybe they never knew themselves, or maybe it's parts that we didn't know were missing, like myself. Um, and I got my blood work done after I signed up to be a coach, and my iron was normal. And I haven't taken iron supplements in a year and a half. And I
Awesome.
think it's only because of the nutrition that I've increased just eating better, so much better. So that was cool.